Ali, you are a part of Argo, an amazing movie. Can you tell us a little bit about your role?
Of course, I played. My character's name is Ali Khalkhali, and he is the official, the security official. He's the character that actually finds out that something is not matching and there's something fishy going on, and he puts by putting the pictures together and he compares the photos and figures out who it is who are hiding under the Canadian cover, and he goes after them. So I go after them in the movie.
Now, the pictures being put together are being put together by children. To go through all this shredded paper to find an image and to then bring it to you, how did you get into a role that portrays you as such a mean person?
That's a good question. Actually, I had to do a lot of research for the character of the guy himself, because there is no bad guy who thinks he's a bad guy. Everybody has a goal and they do everything for a reason. So his commitment and his reason was what drove him to where he was, and how he figures things out. And of course, when you research and you've seen some of the photos of all the demonstrations and all the iron fist of the government a few years ago during the presidential elections, how it was a fraud and people got on the streets, and you saw how they were dealt with. So I was familiar with seeing that. When I was researching it, I could tell what was going on and where it was coming from. So it was getting into the skin of the character, and making every decision based on what the character thinks and believes in, rather than just trying to make him a madman or an angry man.
Now, stepping into a character that is a real-life person as opposed to someone you build your own backstory for, what would you say the difference is? What's the huge difference?
When you portray, by the way, my character was fictitious, but when you portray a character that was real, whether it lived at a different time or they're still living, obviously you would have to, after you do the character work, you would have to make sure that on many other levels, it's close to what the real character is, the characteristics of that person. So it's not just their thought pattern; it's the speech pattern, it's the way they walk, the way they talk, and this is after you find out how they think. Then you have to pretty much add all these layers on top of each other, and then so you will be able to not mimic the character, but you would be the character of that person. So if there is a real character, in some ways it makes it a little bit more challenging. But then again, if there is no such character and you would have to put it together, you would have to make sure that your character embodies some of these characters and personalities.
Now, when it comes to the character in the movie, you're on the edge of your seat the entire time watching this, wanting to know, although you know the end, the anticipation is insane. When your character finds out that these people are in the airport and they're about to get out of there,
Right.
how do you help the audience build anticipation and feel that pumping in their chest?
Well, I think a good part of that was done by the way the story was written. And then, but the adaptation itself was amazing, because when I was reading the script for the first time before we started the shoot, I was on the edge of my seat in my office at home when I was reading it. So the script has a lot to do with it. And then the director, the way the director has envisioned how he or she wants that to go. In this case, it was the brilliant Ben Affleck. And then the editing part of it as well. So everybody who does their own part, and of course the actor does their part. And when you play the scene to the fullest, when the stakes are high, that you've done your part, and when everybody else does their part, and you put it all together, you get what you got in the movie when you go see it.
And you did an amazing job. I mean, I loved the movie. It was incredible.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Can you tell me a little bit about the audition process, what you had to go through?
Of course. I had two different auditions at two different times, and they wanted me to read for different characters. The first audition was for one of the scenes, and then I was called back, and I was asked to read for two other characters, which one of them was the one that I got. Um, Fortunately, Laura Kennedy, one of the most amazing casting directors, she, the way she makes you feel comfortable and makes you relax, and so you don't have to worry about anything else. You just worry about your work, the work that you've done, and you pretty much go ahead and you have the audition and you do your work, and hopefully you hit your marks and you do what you have prepared for. I was lucky enough that they liked my audition, and both Laura and Ben liked my audition, and I was able to get one of the parts, and I'm very glad that I got the part that I did. Somehow I think all the pieces fall in the right place, and I think this was one of those. So.
And knowing that Ben obviously he's a big actor, how do you feel about the way he directed this?
Another wonderful question. I think Ben is a wonderful actor, and because he's a wonderful actor, he's very talented. He's also an amazing director. Now, when you are a great director and at the same time you are an actor yourself, you know how to talk to actors. You know how to create the space for them to express themselves and to actually show their creativity through the work that they have done. And Ben was great to work with. He was easy to work with, and he definitely knew how to speak every actor's language and how to make them be on top of the game. And he knew exactly what he wanted, and he's a very bright guy. He knows about the Middle East, so he was very familiar with the sequences, with the story, with the characters. So when as an actor you work with a director like that, it's easier to rely on them and just to take their direction and do exactly what they want, and know that you're putting your trust in the hand of someone who knows what they're doing. And he's definitely one of those. So he was great to work with.
That's so nice to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have one other question for you that
Sure.
I try to ask each of my guests. It's actually about the socks that you chose to wear today.
Oh.
Can you tell me what they look like?
They are simple black cotton socks.
Is there a reason you chose those?
Yes, because I've learned through experience that we don't care about our feet as much, so we wear shoes that are nice but not necessarily comfortable. For the socks, the same way. But I learned that the hard way. I realized that one of the best things to do is to make sure your feet are comfortable. So my shoes are comfortable, and my socks are very nice and warm and comfy, and I can easily walk in them. So that was my reason for picking the socks that I did.
It's a good answer. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you
I
so
really
much.
appreciate it.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.